Hey everyone, welcome back. So lately I've been auditioning and looking for the perfect streamer for my reference system. I've been looking at high dollar streamers, low dollar streamers, and almost everything in between. I've been listening with the Bluesound Node going into a T+A DAC 200. It's been sounding lovely. I had a Lumin U2 Mini in here. It was even better. It had more sparkle up top, a wider soundstage, a little more transparent. Not a huge difference, but definitely an improvement. You can hear a more spatial kind of sound with the Lumin. I also was able to hear a Lumin U2, and I really did like that streamer. Now, that's a streamer only, no DAC, and it comes in at $5,000. I didn't really want to spend that much, but looking around, I was thinking, well, if I want the best performance from my speakers, from my amp, right, I really shouldn't have a bottleneck in the system. So I was about to splurge on a Lumin U2 after hearing one in this system, and then I received a package in the mail from a company called EverSolo. And I remembered maybe a month ago getting an email asking if I would like to review their new digital media player, which is a streamer and a DAC. And you can use it just as a streamer if you have an external DAC, or you can use it as an all-in-one. I remember saying, yeah, I'll review it, but I wasn't expecting much of it. In fact, I totally forgot about it because I thought it would be one of those products that I get in sometimes that are just really not very good, and I send it back. So the EverSolo DMP-A6 came in and I unboxed it. And first the packaging was very Lumin-like, right? Almost Hi-Fi Rose-ish in a way. Very nice packaging. Now keep in mind, this is a streamer and DAC that comes in at under $1,000. I believe, I could be wrong, I've been trying to find out the exact cost of this thing. I think it's around $850 to $900 US. Now that puts it a couple hundred above the Bluesound Node, right? And thousands less than the Lumin U2, and even quite a bit less than the U2 Mini. I expected it to be buggy, glitchy. I hooked it up. It has a 6-inch touchscreen that looks a lot like the Hi-Fi Rose. It has VU meters you can activate in different styles, or you can display the album art and the file details. Now this thing also decodes MQA if you're into that sort of thing from Tidal Masters are all MQA, and you need either a DAC or a streamer to decode that MQA. Now the DMP-A6 fully decodes MQA, so you can activate that from the settings. Speaking of the settings, to use this thing and set it up is really simple. I had it up and running and playing through Rune within 5 minutes. I was able to stream Spotify through Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, Qobuz directly through the app, Tidal directly through the app. What about that app? Usually when you get cheaper products like this, at a lower price point, I should say, it's not cheaply made, you get a subpar app experience. I have to say the EverSolo DMP-A6 app experience is one of the best I've had. I actually prefer it to the Bluesound Node app, and that's highly regarded as one of the better apps. So I was completely blown away when I downloaded the app and set up the player, right? I was going through the VU meters. I set everything up how I wanted it. Another thing is there's a slew of outputs here, inputs I should say as well. And you can turn off the outputs on the streamer using the app, much like Hi-Fi Rose does. Now, this piece is very much like a Hi-Fi Rose piece. They have various streamers and DACs that come in at between $2,500 and $5,000. This is a little bit smaller, but it has an all-metal enclosure. It's got a brushed finish. The touchscreen is bright and lag-free. There's no bugs here. And I hooked it all up, right? I had it going into my T+A DAC 200. I also tested the internal dual ESS DACs that are inside of this little guy, and I'll get to that in a minute. But going through the T+A DAC 200, as the Node did, as the Lumin did in this room, I was floored. I was blown away by what I was hearing. For me, it matched the Lumin U2 Mini, bested the Bluesound Node, and almost got to the heights of the Lumin U2 that I heard for a few days in here. How could this be a $900 piece that looks gorgeous, uses professional parts in the build, looks solid, it looks like a high-end piece, and it sounds like a high-end piece. But the sound quality is what blew my mind. Now, compared to the Node, now keep in mind, this is only a couple hundred, 200 or 300 more than the Node, but you're gaining so much more. You're gaining the looks with that beautiful touchscreen. You can have the VU meters on if you prefer. You can have the screen off. You can have it show a clock, right? Streamers do sound different, even though they're just sending the same bits to the DAC, right? Usually I found the differences were pretty small, but upon close listening with my Focal Diablo speakers and the AVIC U150 amp I have here, there was a clear difference between each level of streamer. Again, the Bluesound Node, I still recommend for anyone getting started in streaming, for someone who has a modest system and you just want rock solid stability, ease of use. The Node Gen 3 is fantastic and around 600 bucks. The EverSolo, if the price is right, around 900 or under, it's the bargain of the year in hi-fi. This is a true hi-fi product. It's not a low-end piece. Everything from build to looks to the sound is all high-end, at least what I've experienced. And I've had streamers in here that were $13,000. So I'm mightily impressed by the DMP-A6. I hear no noise coming from it, from the speakers. Everything is silent. I've had no hiccups, no glitches in setup or performance, and I can stream with any service. And I have all services just because I review stuff. So everything sounded fantastic, and it's been in place ever since. How did the A6 internal DAC do compared to the other DACs I have here? So using it as an all-in-one, it has dual ESS professional DACs, and it does a really great job in the DAC department. It's not nearly as good as the T+A DAC 200, but that's a $7,200 DAC. It's not as good as the DAC built into the AVIC U150, but that's about equivalent to a $5,000 DAC. For me, it bested the internal DAC of the Gen 3 Bluesound Node in regards to spaciousness and clarity, but it was a little flatter sounding to me than my reference DACs or external DACs that I use here. Still, if it was all I had and I wanted an all-in-one streaming device that was a streamer and DAC, the A6 would be hard to pass up. Now, when I heard the Lumin U2, the $5,000 streamer, it sounded better than the A6. It had a more fluid, smoother, richer kind of sound, which we usually hear as we go up the ladder. And those of you who have heard these kind of streamers, you'll understand that they can make a difference. Now, whether that difference as you climb the ladder is worth the cost is another question. With the A6 coming in at under 900 bucks and the U2 being 5,000, I have to ask myself, is that bit of improvement with the U2, and there is an improvement, is it worth $4,000? You know, I could do a lot with $4,000. And as much as I really want that Lumin because it looks so sexy and sleek and beautiful, and it's also rock solid and stable, and it does sound better. If you want a better sound, look at the Lumin U2, but it's $5,000, right? The EverSolo never ever fails to amaze me. When I'm sitting here listening, and I've been listening a lot to it over the last week or so, it just boggles my mind how close it is to those streamers in the $3,000, $4,000, and $5,000 range. And this is coming from a company I've never heard of, right? I know they had a couple of $400 or $500 DACs or streamers on Amazon, and I never really paid much attention to them. But this product is brand new, and they're really excited about it, and for good reason. As I said, it's easy to set up, it's easy to use, it is completely glitch-free. The app experience is one of the best I've had of all the streamers I've used in life. And it's just one heck of a bargain for under that $900 price point. If you've been looking for a streamer for your external DAC and you want a cool display and VU meters, but you don't want to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, check out the A6. If you've been looking for an all-in-one streamer and DAC that is easy to set up and beautiful to look at and is built to a high standard, and you don't want to spend thousands, check out the A6. This is really a fantastic streamer, and I'm so happy they sent it to me because it kind of helped me decide on what streamer to keep within my system. And it was between the Bluesound Node, right? The EverSolo A6 and the Lumin U2. And I really wanted that U2, but with all the money I've been spending lately, I'm willing to take that small decrease in performance and stick with the A6. I also feel the A6 has a better app experience than Lumin and is more, if you like the displays, right, where you see the album art and telling you what file is playing in a large 6-inch display versus the little display of the Lumin, which is more understated and cool looking, really. It depends on your taste. Now, I have decided that I am going to stick with the A6 for the time being, and I'm not going to rush and go out and spend thousands on another streamer. I'm going to live with this for 2 or 3 months, and then I'll make my decision then. Do I still want to stick with the A6? And I think I will, because I'm telling you guys, it sounds amazing. It looks amazing. The app is awesome. The performance is glitch and bug free. There's nothing more I could ask for in a digital music streamer. It doesn't suffer in the sound quality. So this is the deal of the year, maybe the deal of the century, right? The EverSolo DMP-A6, highly recommended in the streamer world. You can get better, but you're going to have to spend thousands to do so. So that was my thoughts on the DMP-A6. I love this little streamer, and let's take a little bit of a closer look at it real quick before we wrap this up. All right, so here is the EverSolo DMP-A6 starting up. When it first boots up, it takes about, I'd say, 10 to 15 seconds. I have mine connected via Ethernet, but there is an option for Wi-Fi, which is very cool. You can see it starts out with a screen much like the HiFi Rose offerings, but as I play some music, we can see that we see the cover art. I'm playing from Rune here, as you can see in the upper left. Let's take a look at what we can do with the front display. There's the volume knob. I have this set to a fixed volume as I'm going into a DAC. Here's the opening screen. If I click on the little spinning disc in the top, you can cycle through modes like VU, the song information, and the settings. There's 4 VU meter options here to look at. They look very nice. The display is crisp and clean. If we go into the settings, you can change the audio settings, volume pass-through mode, the sampling rate output, the display. You can change the screen brightness, the knob light brightness, and all of that good stuff. The screensaver and the screensaver mode. I choose a clock, which is very cool. And the network tab, you can set up your wired network with the Ethernet or the Wi-Fi. And here it'll find my Wi-Fi networks pretty quickly. There's Huff and Huff 2, but I use wired, so I don't have any issues, but the Wi-Fi does seem to connect there. Your general, your power, your language, all of that good stuff, factory reset. The about tells you everything that's in this model. Very, very cool, very easy to use and understand. All right, on the rear, you have your antennas for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, you have your power button, you have your power cord, your Ethernet input, your HDMI out, USB out, digital inputs, coax, optical, and USB-C, your digital out, coax, optical, and your analog out, which is balanced or RCA.
I wait for someone to say